My love wasn't enough. Just let me know so I can.
Talking about the Buffalo Bills and specifically Stefon Diggs, a man who you know very well. Now, let me ask you, do you think that Stefon was out of bounds for asking for input on play calling? And do you think that the relationship between him and the Bills can be repaired before the season begins?
I mean, let's be honest here. Stefon Diggs, if you take him away, I think that that team crumbles.
I agree.
I think they die a very, very slow death, which only gets worse throughout the season. I mean, Stefon Diggs on a lot of our lists was a top 5 receiver still. On some of ours, a top 3 receiver, depending on who you talk to. And I think that's very warranted. If you look at everything that he's done thus far, there's no coincidence that, you know, the Bills were back to prominence when he became a member of that team. I mean, think about when the Vikings, they got to the NFC Championship game and lost against the Eagles. Wasn't he a part of that team? You know, making that incredible play to push him through to the next round. So he's been incredible.
Yes,
like
the Minneapolis Miracle.
Yep. So he's been incredible his whole career, and I would really love to see what Josh Allen would look like without him. To be completely honest, I mean, all of us got infatuated with that AFC division game against the Chiefs where Gabriel Davis had an incredible game as well. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, he's going to be, all of us were so hyped to see him again, get more involved. And he was just okay. And now they're still searching for that number 2. I mean, you know, who else do they have there? Dawson Knox is their best receiver outside of that.
Right now, their wide receiver 3. Right now, their wide receiver 3 is Khalil Shakir out of Boise State.
And Isaiah McKenzie's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Shakir is their wide receiver 3 right now.
And they just drafted another tight end.
So yeah, I mean, I think the Bills need to do everything in their power to keep this dude. I'm not even going to front. They need to do everything to keep him around. And if he's asking for input on the play calling, I think that's warranted. Yes, I mean, only to be honest, the coach only knows so much, right? But
yeah.
the thing about Josh and him having such a good relationship, I think it would be strengthened more if he's like, look, this is what me and Josh really like to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what play works all the time in practice. This is what's worked in the game. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but I'm sure he's not like, I'm going to take over play calling completely, but at least let me have a little input, because since I've been here, I've given you guys nothing but success as a player. So, you know, some things are like out of line if it was like a first or second year player, but a guy that's constantly putting up 1,300 yard, 10 plus touchdown seasons over and over and over again, and constantly getting you guys in good spots during games, and as reliable as he is, I think this is the last person that you want to piss off outside of Josh Allen. Everything else, I think the money thing, it'll work itself out, however that goes. But I mean, I don't think he's out of line whatsoever. I actually like it. I actually like that he's so vocal. Like, to me, this screams, I want to win more than we already are winning. Our expectations are so so high every single year because I'm a part of this team. And if you take me away from this, we're not going to have the success that we always do. And I'm confident in it because you can look at my numbers every year and see what I've done. So, out of respect for me wanting to win, let me tell you personally what I think would work. And if it doesn't work, it is what it is. I don't think this is like he's holding anybody's, like a knife up to anybody's neck. But, I mean, this just screams to me that, like, I want to help my team win. And I hope that they're respectful enough to listen to my opinion on a couple things as a veteran player.
All right. Sorrel, let me ask you. Do you feel as though it was out of bounds for Stefon Diggs to ask for input on play calling? And do you think or feel that the relationship between him and the Bills can be repaired before the season begins?
I absolutely do not think it is out of line for this man to ask. He is literally the number 1 weapon for Buffalo. He is that entire offense. I don't care what anybody says about Josh Allen. Stefon Diggs is your entire offense because you look outside, as we just mentioned previously, who the other wide receivers are. Gabe Davis, who, still hasn't proven to be that wide receiver 2. You don't know what you're going to get with Khalil Shakur as your wide receiver 3. I can't tell you the other wide receivers on the list because let's just be real. Stefon Diggs is kind of your main wide receiver. Yes, you've got Dawson Knox, who, as we've mentioned, will probably primarily be your main blocking. And then you just drafted, I don't know, I can't remember his name all of a sudden.
Dalton Kincaid.
Thank you. You just drafted Dalton Kincaid. So, yes, there's another weapon, but you don't use your running backs. The only person running the ball is your quote-unquote franchise quarterback. So, 100%, Stefon Diggs is that entire offense. If he's gone, say bye-bye to the Buffalo Bills that we know, because he's literally the only reason that they are favored right now, or that they are always mentioned in Super Bowl talks, because of how good Stefon Diggs is. He's a top 5 wide receiver. I had him at number 3. He, in my eyes, is one of, if not the best route running wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, 100%, Stefon Diggs should have permission to start doing play calling. I'm not saying, give him his entire desk, give him his own desk, give him his own front office. Although if he wants that, I'm probably, handing some money over so he can get all that. But yeah, no, if the Bills lose it on Diggs, it's over for them. Expect a tank for, I'm not saying tank for Marvin Harrison, but they expect them to go heavy at wide receiver then, because it's not going to be pretty for them.
All right, Manny.
So yeah, you gotta hope that they can fix that relationship.
Hopefully, because the season's just around the corner. But Manny, let me ask you: do you think it was out of line for Stefon Diggs to ask for some input on play calling? And do you think that his relationship with the Bills, or the relationship with the Bills, can be repaired before the season begins?
Yeah, I agree with what Dante said. I like when people do, like in the NFL, like top players do this, especially like at that position. Like if you're so valuable to your team, you're going to be as vocal as you can to show that you're valuable to your team. Like if you go look back at the, because I know you mentioned it earlier with the Chiefs-Bills game a couple years ago in the playoffs, like they would not have put that much points up if, Stefon Diggs wasn't on the team, because Gabe Davis only got open because, they weren't focusing on him. They weren't literally just the game plan wasn't on him. Like the game plan is usually on Stefon Diggs. Like you don't like game plan looking, especially for like a defensive coordinator in the NFL. And like when you're trying to stop the Bills, you don't game plan for Gabe Davis. You game plan for Stefon Diggs. I don't hate, him trying to, ask for play calling, like just give input on play calling, because like in the Bengals game in the playoffs, like what happened? Like Josh Allen just threw it in a risky spot. Like half of the league wouldn't, just some quarterbacks that are smart and prudent, they just wouldn't, throw the ball there. And he did. I don't understand like some of the throws that he would make. I think Diggs is getting tired of it. Like he said, they're always like a top end team, like on most people's boards, like going into the season. So, when he comes out and says this, like he wants to win. He's like one of their top players on that team, and like he's one of the best receivers in football. He's not gonna just come out saying this stuff. Like he wants to get the plays and stuff. Like him and Allen probably have tendencies that they really really like. And he probably knows that, and he wants to get more of that instead of just risking the ball and tight coverage like Allen did a couple times last year to him.
A couple.
So, yeah, it was more than my bad. It was more than a couple. I just said a couple to kind of favor Josh Allen, kind of give him that benefit of the doubt. But you have to give Diggs whatever he wants. Not to make him seem like some boss or anything, but he's without Stefon Diggs, this team's not the same, and I don't think Josh Allen's the same either. I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. He's one of the best overall players in football, but he could run, throw, but he's not like I don't think he's like a top end quarterback without Stefon Diggs. Like he needs Stefon Diggs.
So let me ask you something, Manny. You said that he's one of the top quarterbacks, one of the best all-around quarterbacks, but then you also said that he wouldn't be who he is without Stefon Diggs.
Yes,
So does that
because
make him a top quarterback?
because he's an overall really, really good player. That's why I have him in my top five. I don't, just throw people in the top five to just throw them there. He can throw it in the pocket. He can get out the pocket, stand in the pocket. Um, he can just do a lot of things that some quarterbacks just can't do. That's why he's in the top five. But I think he's just there because he has to be there. Like his stats say he's there. And I get it. Like without Diggs, he wasn't, the same guy. But that was also very early into his career. I don't know. He might have changed since then, but he still kind of does some of the same things. It's just not as, the accuracy and stuff. Like when he came out of college, he wasn't the same like quarterback as he is now. So I don't know. Some of those tendencies kind of got away from him, but I don't think he's that same guy with Diggs. I really don't think he is.
Well, honestly, I'm very surprised by everyone because I look at it this way. Stefon Diggs is a very special talent, great player. But if you see that there's an issue with Stefon, he had the same issue in Minnesota. He's having the same issue in Buffalo, where he feels like he's not being attended to enough. He's not being appreciated. He should be having more input. This is what I need to say about football players, especially when you have star football players. You can't constantly feed into his ego. And that's what I think this is. If you feel that because you don't have an input on play calling, you're going to hold out. Me, as a GM, I'm Brandon Bean. I'm exploring my options. Because right now you have a wide receiver out there who is the same caliber as Stefon Diggs and DeAndre Hopkins. You also have an issue at running back, which you can take care of with Dalvin Cook. We know Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Hopkins have been talking together for a while, trying to come on one team together. Again, if I'm a GM, I'm going to want two motivated players. If I can get rid of this disgruntled player, hell, I'm going to make that move because I saw my quarterback this week go out his way and say how he made mistakes, say that he needed to get better, all that to appease his ego. That I'm not a part of. That I can't have on my team. You can't have that in your team. You can't have an ego taking over. If I'm Brandon Bean, I understand that Stefon is a huge part of this team, but you're going to have a conversation with him, understand where he fits on this team and where he will fit on this team going forward in the future. If Stefon's not a part of that, then we need to move on because, again, there is a free agent that's available that is for a good price that will most likely be cheaper and give you the same amount of production, if not possibly more.
Yeah, I mean,
So I think the Bills need to put, not to say put him in his place, but let him understand the situation that he's in right now. Let him know that even though he is a talented player, he can take his talents on to another team and be a headache for another team.
yeah, I was just about to say, like, if you go back and like look at what happened after the Bengals and the Bills game in the playoffs, like, yeah, Diggs was definitely not happy. Like after that game, like he expressed his words, and it was very intense in that locker room. So I think I don't know. It was just something about that game that just screamed that he didn't want to just I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to suit up with Allen again. It's based off of like how much times like he'll put the ball in a risky spot. But that's just the type of quarterback he is. He can't control that. I think that's the type of quarterback he is, and that's something Diggs might have to just understand. Like he's not Tom Brady. Like he's not a quarterback that is a composed not even Brady like Rodgers. He's a composed gunslinger. Allen's not.
Yeah, but I don't want them to put all the blame on Allen because we talked about a player earlier in Marcus Peters. I think when Marcus Peters was in Kansas City, he was very young, very ignorant. He didn't really understand what it was about. But then he moved on to LA. You still see some selfishness. You still see those tendencies, but you saw him become more of a leader. He goes on to Baltimore, and I think when he went to the Ravens, he totally transformed who he was. Yeah, he was vocal, but he wasn't that same guy just jawing, talking junk to all the players. He was letting his play speak for himself. He was studying. He was doing everything right, becoming a vocal team leader in which the way you should be. Now, when you look at Stefon, it's more of a me thing. That's what I don't like. That's what I wouldn't want around my team. That's what I consider a cancer around my team. And like I said, if that's the way he feels, listen, by all means, I think you're a great talent. Take that to another team that can handle that. Because right here, we're focused on winning a championship together. And the thing I'm most surprised is Ken Dorsey not losing it, because Ken Dorsey, that Miami Hurricane team, has a connection to Buffalo. You got to remember when that Miami championship Hurricane team, when they all got drafted, one of the main focuses they had was Willis McGahee, the running back, because that Miami team did one thing and they ran the ball well. McGahee comes to Buffalo and he kind of changes the mindset of Buffalo, becomes a running team. We saw that carry on to Marshawn Lynch, but then now we see them going away from that. And now I'm starting to think, did Stefon Diggs have any part in that? We all talk about, oh, they don't use a running back, but could it be that you have a diva wide receiver constantly complaining and you're trying to appease him, and that's why this offense looks differently?
Yeah.
I just saw a comment from something else that I'll get into a little later.
There.
Oh man, this is so funny. But anyways, yes, all great points, man. I think this is all great points. I think the consensus is yes, please let Stefon at least give his input on a little bit of play calling here and there. But I think a line should be drawn. I think that's what you're alluding to, Vic. Is like a line should be drawn in the sand of what a coach is and what a player is, and coaches are going to coach and players need to play. But here's kind of my rebuttal to that. Do you think Tom Brady had a little bit of input on what the Patriots did?
I'll answer this with this. Does Tom Brady control the game more than what Stefon can? Because at the end of the day, who holds the ball? Who holds the ball controls the game. If you control the game, you can call the plays.
But who controls the game on offense for Buffalo? Josh Allen.
Quarterback.
Yeah,
Exactly,
he
the
is.
quarterback.
He's the quarterback. He's the quarterback, but Diggs is the one that is the vocal point of that offense, though.
And that's one of the things about being a leader, especially if you're a quarterback. You have to understand how to treat everyone and make them feel like they're a part of the team. And if one person feels that they should have more than everyone else, well, you need to talk to that person and, handle it out like men. And if you can't, then we can't be together. We can't be on this team because, again, we need all parts moving in the same direction. We don't need we don't need a sprocket out of place.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. Like Allen is a great player in his own right. Diggs is a great player in his own right. I think it's just more about, respect and I think what is Diggs, like 27, 28? Like he's getting up there in age. I think he wants to win. Like he's buying into winning. And I think he's just tired of like every single year. Like we're just there, but we need more. Like I think he just wants to be at a place where, he feels more comfortable, like knowing that this team is going to get me over the hump.
Well, man, you made a great point by the age. And I'll just ask this. Who has more of a future with Buffalo? Stefon or the quarterback? Allen.
The quarterback, for sure.
So what's the point of appeasing the receiver if you know he ain't going to be around for long?
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, to each their own. I mean, all of us have made really good points. Vic's made really good points. I do kind of side more so. Yeah, he should have a little input, but I'm also on the side of and that I didn't get to make my point earlier, but yeah, that a line should be drawn in the sand too between what a player and what a coach is too. But I mean, I feel like a player should be open enough to at least say something.
I have a perfect question for you.
Yeah.
In your area of expertise in graphic design, you're training Manny, and Manny feels like he should have more input on how the logo and how the design should go. What do you say? No.
No, so that is a good question. But I think this is a little different. Though. And the fact is, let me put it like this. Manny would have to be, let's say that I'm 15 years certified in Adobe Photoshop. Manny is 2 years certified in Adobe Photoshop. I've done 10,000 projects versus his 1,000 projects. Okay? but he has an experience of knowing what he's doing in his craft, and I sign him up to be a a contract worker under my business, right? Because that's basically what Stefon Diggs is. He's a contract worker for the business. But I'm the coach. I get to say what goes on in the company and what clients that we take in. If I say, hey, Manny, you have to do this for this client, and this is how to design, this is what they want, should he not be open enough to come to me and say, look, I think it should be done this way? He's got some type of credentials to
But this is
know.
something that you're coming up with. You already come up with the logo. Manny's just saying, hey, I know I inked it, I colored it, but I don't think this looks right. This has to be this, or guess what? I'm not going to be here for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah. I see what Vic's saying, like with the
Yeah.
Allen.
Again, you said it perfectly. Coaches coach, players play. That's it. As a player, let's be honest, it's very disrespectful for you to come up to your coach and say, I think we should be doing this.
Yeah.
If you're not the quarterback, shut up.
Yeah, because like in reality, like we all know here, like they're gonna choose Josh over Stefon like 1,000 times.
That's just the nature of it.
It's just how the NFL works. Like it's a business, and you know where the top position starts at, the quarterback position. And I mean, he's the face of the franchise. They're gonna choose him over Diggs any day of the week. It's just like it's sad to say, but that's how the NFL works. Like,
Yeah. It's just sad it even got this far.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a good question, though. I mean, it is.
You ain't changing nothing on this logo.
Yo, Vic had him in there. He had him there, like in the first second. He rattled him, bro. He rattled
Well,
him.
the only reason why is because, like I said, I'm thinking of Ken Dorsey. You're the offensive coordinator. Again, we all know Ken Dorsey's temperament. We all know, the kind of person he is. But again, you're doing your job, your specific job, and you have someone else on the outside who is under you saying, no, you're not doing your job right. I think X, Y, and Z should be done. For anyone in no matter what position, what profession, you're going to look at them and like, who are you to tell me how to do my own job? Again, I'm here to coach you up. You're not here to coach me up. I'm the coach. You're the player. That's the relationship we have here. It doesn't go vice versa. It doesn't work that way. You can give me input on what you think while we're game planning, by all means, please. Or if you see something on the field, hey, let me know. But again, for you to say specific play call, you want input it? Nah, we're not doing all that.
Right. I see both sides. I mean, I really do. But I don't know. And then I guess it's up to that team and that coaching staff too. Is it really an open door policy? I mean, the CIO of my company, I talk to 2 to 3 times a week at most. Do I feel like I can come to him? Yeah, because he's already set the precedent of that. This is an open door policy, and then the best idea wins. Does he really have to do that? Absolutely not. No, but I mean, in a team environment, that I guess we don't really know. But if you had to level set things, coaches coach, players play. If I ask you for your opinion, I'll ask you for your opinion. If not, we're gonna go with what the game plan is. But let's put it like this, Vic. In your situation, let's say that you were Stefon Diggs. You just came off a 1,800-yard season. You're going into, let's say, week 10. We're way past the midway point of the season. Going to week 10, you got 400 yards receiving. You're way off the mark that you set the previous season. And you're getting open. You don't think that you're going to be banging down Ken Dorsey's door and being like, yo, what is going on? Or why are you not seeing this? We watch this on tape every single week. What is happening?
But if I got all those yards and all those accolades and all those touchdowns before I said anything, what makes you think my word is going to be more? And let's be honest, do you think that Stefon Diggs is calling plays for the running back or any other receiver? Other than
What running backs? They don't use them.
Let's be honest. What plays is he asking for? He's not asking for Gabriel to be open. He's not asking plays for anyone else. He's asking plays for himself.
Because he's the only reliable wide receiver on that team. He's the only reliable offensive playmaker on that team right now.
Drew makes a good point. As a manager, you want people to be brought in, giving some input gives them a little ownership and may increase performance. Allowing input doesn't relinquish power.
Okay, so Vic, you're telling me
in the game, like I said, if you see something, you're to talk. Hey, this is how they're guarding me. This is how they're covering me. This is what I see. That's the input you give. But to sit down and say, I want to call specific plays, or I want more input than play calling. No, again, giving input is great, but to say that you want to roll in that's something totally different.
That's only because of Josh Allen's tendencies.
Okay, but hold on. So Vic, you're telling me right now, if Stefon Diggs is gone, let's just say Stefon Diggs is gone, they don't get DeAndre Hopkins. Stefon Diggs is gone. You're telling me they're still in talks of being Super Bowl?
I don't know if they're in talks to be in Super Bowl conversation right now. Again, we just talked about it. They don't even use a running back. Their defense isn't getting younger.
Yes, and
they're not getting younger in total.
Yes, and I get that.
For me, and also one thing you want to say is like, hey, Manny just said it. Allen's only got better with Diggs. Doesn't Allen want to prove that he is a better quarterback with or without Diggs?
And what happens if he shows that he is not better without Diggs?
And what happens when he shows that he is? What are people going to say then?
He's him.
You would have given all that power to a receiver that really didn't have
you're
it.
telling You're telling me right now, if Diggs leaves and if they don't sign anybody, you're trusting.
I'm trusting Josh Allen to do what Josh Allen does: pick up this team and get some damn wins. That's what I trust.
I can't sit. I can't see it.
But that's the thing.
Diggs
Again,
is literally that entire offense.
Who's the future of the team? Is it the quarterback or the receiver? Because Diggs not going to be around forever.
And I get that. But what happens when Diggs is gone, though? Because right now, your main running back is your quarterback, and we already saw this man get injured.
But if you're saying Josh Allen is as good as a quarterback he is, you have to trust he's going to get the job done, whether Diggs is there or not.
Yeah.
Look at Patrick Mahomes. Everyone questioned him when Tyreek Hill left. Oh, Hill did everything. Hill got him all those yards. You see all he has to do is a short pass. He'll take it to the house. All those yards are garbage yards. That's all Hill. What did Patrick Mahomes do this year? Nothing but spread the ball, shut everyone up. You got to give your quarterback a chance. You can't say that he's only good because of one receiver. You can't do that because, again, there's 11 guys on the team. It isn't two-man ball.
I mean, I was just going to say, like, Allen this year, he's not going to run the ball as much for sure. He's not going to do that like as much. So you could take that off the table. I get it. That's one of his better assets, but I think they're going to be worried about him getting hurt down the line.